What's going on, everyone? NoZoupForYou here, and today I'm going to go over my impressions of German carriers, and primarily the Alfred Percival Wolfric not Dumbledore, August Von Parceval. Yeah, that's the one, August Von Parceval. But it's got one of those names that just kind of reminded me of Dumbledore's name from Harry Potter. I don't know why. I'm just being stupid. Anyhow, before I get to that, before I get to my overall impressions, do have a couple quick announcements. First, the Warhammer giveaway, the Warhammer 40k giveaway, the crates that I've got. I have reached out to the winners on YouTube, and those are Drago Rocky 2, Grim Fandon, and Magical, but with a J, kind of like Zoop instead of soup. So you three are the lucky winners. You get one crate of each faction. Be sure to reach out to me any way you can, because I really don't want to have to redraw. It's a pain. It really is. Actually, it's not, but I hate having to do that, especially if you rightfully want it. So reach out to me. And the second thing I want to do before I go into my impressions is just a very quick little story that happened in the testing of the Parceval. And these twins are really wearing me down. I mean, I'm starting to realize how old I am. I mean, I wouldn't feel that 39 is that old, but it feels very old because of these twins. And I wake up aching much more than usual. My body hurts. My mind is just always fuzzy. I'm not getting good sleep. And it really showed during the testing of these ships, because during one of the rounds, I happened to notice a Zara had made its way across the map and was crossing into the A cap, which it was our cap. We had capped it, and Zara was heading towards it. So I immediately send up some of my rocket planes to go after it. You know, the rocket planes for the German aircraft are AP rocket planes. So, you know, they do pretty good against cruisers, so long as you hit them broadside and you don't aim quite too high. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to make short work of the Zara. There's no other ships around that can stop me from doing this. I don't have to worry about a lot of AA. So I go out there, and one pass, I don't do a lot of damage. I launched my rockets, and you know, I did like 2,000 damage. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to circle. I'm going to go around. AA's not popping off that bad or at all, which I didn't take notice of. And on the second pass, I did 6,000 damage. And that's when I turned pink. Yeah. Didn't even notice that the name was green. Didn't even notice that the Zara was on our team. I just went after him like he was the enemy, and I felt horrible about it. I felt so bad that, you know, I apologized profusely in-game and said, you know, hey, reach out to me and I'll give you a CCT container. I'm so sorry, whatever. I just couldn't believe I did it. I was thoroughly embarrassed, just straight up embarrassed, and that's how out of it I've been because of these twins lately. So anyhow, enough of the personal stuff. You don't give a rat's behind about that. You want to know about the German aircraft carriers, what I think of them. Well, maybe less what I think about them, but just about them in general. So I'm going to talk about the Parceval, which is the Tier 8 German aircraft carrier primarily, but my thoughts for this ship kind of echo across the other ships, the Weser, the Rhine, the Richthofen, the Rotbären, which I really hope they provide the Red Barons camouflage for that, which his airplane was dressed up as in World War I. That'd be pretty cool. I think the Graf Zeppelin has something similar to that, not totally like that, but it's got that kind of World War I-ish look to it. But anyhow, German CVs, I feel, offer a lot of difference from the other CVs in the game. And I feel, while I don't want to say they're balanced, it's hard saying a CV's balanced, but I feel that they offer something a lot different than the other carriers. I feel that they excel in some places and in other places don't, and I feel that overall they're a good addition to the game, and a couple reasons here why. Obviously, we touched on the rockets a little earlier. Your rockets are AP rockets. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're almost flat out worthless against destroyers. Just don't do a lot of damage to them. You overpen, and You know, you can land a full salvo and you do 1,000 or 2,000 damage. So I think the inclusion of these carriers is not going to harm the situation with DDs any more than carriers that are currently in the game do. So that's a good thing about the German carriers. And your bombers are AP bombers. So those are pretty much worthless against destroyers as well. The only thing you have in your arsenal that's going to be good against destroyers or do a decent amount of damage are going to be your torpedo bombers. But the torpedoes on these planes aren't that strong. They're actually on the weak side. So what good is a carrier with weak destroyers? Well, you are loaded to the hilt with AP. So first off, talking about your attack planes, your rocket planes, you know, I tell you what, you can do massive damage against cruisers. But it's not a given, and you really got to hit them the right way. You can't hit them too high. There's really a sweet spot to hit these cruisers with your AP rockets. And angles play into effect. So I think good aircraft carrier players, and you know, this is one of the issues that we're having with CVs right now, the difference in skill sets, and you know, we had that with the other carriers, the previous iteration. It might wind up in another situation again where if two German CVs are facing off and you have one Unicum player against an average player, that Unicum player is going to be able to change the outcome of the round a lot more, because he's going to be able to land those AP shots in the right place. Because it's definitely not, while it's not hard, it's not easy either. Again, you got to hit it at the right angle, which is pretty much broadside barn. If you hit it at odd angles, you're going to less likely get those lovely citadel hits that you want. So really, while I won't say it's skill, I mean, obviously navigating your plane around to tee up and hit a ship perpendicular to the path you're taking, I mean, I don't know that that's skill. It's just a matter of keeping your planes alive long enough to do it. But if you do it, you are rewarded fairly well. And these rockets do well against enemy aircraft carriers, which is another good thing. This kind of adds the element of CV attacks, though I don't know you're going to want to waste the time to do that. But your rocket planes add something different. In the hands of a good CV player, they might be even a little too strong. In the hands of an average player, maybe not. So I still think we're at a point where I don't know if the balance is where it needs to be, but the important thing is it's not going to do a lot to destroyers. So it gives the destroyers a little bit of a breather. So if you wind up in a match and your team has an Enterprise at tier 8, or not even an Enterprise, you know, a Kaga, and the enemy team has one of these German carriers, they have the Parceval, guess what? Your destroyers are going to have a nice day. And the enemy's destroyer, if your Kaga is any good, they're not going to have a good day. So that's the rocket planes. And, you know, I think it's kind of a cool addition, but I still need more time to decide whether or not it's overall good. But I think it's nice having something different. The bombers on the Parceval, I think they're kind of cool. It's really unique flying as high as you do in them. It's just a completely different look than the other planes in the game. You start out really, really high up, to the point that, well, even with the fighter planes, or the attack planes, excuse me, the attack planes, it took a little while getting used to just targeting and everything else, because it's so different and the reticles are different. And with the bombers, you start really, really high, and you basically have to start your attack run on top of a ship. And don't expect your reticle to be easy to see out in front of you, because it is directly below you, and you know, you're flying several thousand feet high, and it's really cool, actually. I like it. And you know, again, AP bombers, you know, it's a matter of finding that sweet spot against certain targets, and letting your bombs loose at a certain point. But I will tell you, they do a lot of damage, and even with a tier 8 ship going against a tier 10 cruiser like Salem, you can absolutely wreck them with AP bombs. And I know Wargaming was trying to change that because they felt they were a tad too strong. You know, I don't know if I agree with that. If you're a tier 8 aircraft carrier with tier 8 hit points on your tier 8 planes, and you manage to get a good drop on a tier 10 cruiser, I feel you deserve to wreck that cruiser. But that's just my thought. That's just my thought. So moving on to the torpedo planes, the torpedo bombers, I like where these are at. I feel that the targeting reticle gets you on target very quickly. It narrows down very quickly. Your torps are fairly fast. It's pretty easy to hit ships with these torpedoes, but that's balanced out by the fact that you don't start a lot of floods, at least in the Parceval, and you don't do a ton of damage with your torpedoes, at least in the Parceval. And that kind of sucks in a way, especially if you're playing higher tier ships. You're only going to get, 4,000 or 5,000 damage, if even, against enemy battleships of higher tiers. But, it is what it is. And for as fast and as easy it is to get these torps on enemies, maybe it has to be that way. I might like to see a little bit of a better flood chance, but that's just me. Downside to Tier 8 aircraft carriers is that you're going to be playing against Tier 10 ships a lot, and the planes do get melted, even by Tier 9s, and even sometimes by Tier 8s. And I felt like there's been instances where 1 or 2 ships have completely mowed down an entire squadron, which does suck. And it would probably happen in any other aircraft carrier, but for some reason it just felt like it happened more to me in this carrier than I've felt it happen in other aircraft carriers. But, it is what it is. AA, you gotta deal with it. But yeah, honestly, I like what I'm seeing with the German CVs. I like where they're going with them. I think they offer something different. They're not just another aircraft carrier line. They bring something new to the table and a different way to play. And it's kind of, in a way, liberating, forgetting about DDs and going after harder targets. And by hard targets, I mean like hard steel battleships and cruisers. It's kind of nice not being on permanent DD harassment duty like you sometimes wind up on other aircraft carriers. Germans, you'll want to spot, but you really don't have anything that's going to do a lot of damage against destroyers. And torp bombers, unless you're really, really good, you're not going to land them as easy. So you're better off just launching right away with AP rockets and going after a cruiser, or even, going after battleships. So I think it adds something different in CV gameplay, and at this point, with the way CVs have been and the reception and just how players view them, I think anything different is good. And I think anything that gives destroyers a little bit of a reprieve is good as well. So, I'm kind of excited about this line of CVs. I wasn't at first, but after playing them, I'm intrigued. I think it's something different, something new, something unique. And if you're a CV main out there and you love CVs, I think you might enjoy these. I think you might. So we'll just have to see, though. These are coming at some point in the near future, and you'll just have to be on the lookout. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I hope you all are doing wonderful. Take it easy. Want to know your thoughts on these carriers. Are you looking forward to them, or are you in the I hate CVs with a vengeance crowd? The never CVers. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Zoop out.